And we're going to continue on with the demos now. So I'm going to switch over to project here. And this is Project 2013 Professional. Someone asked me a question during the break. Our book does cover both standard and professional. When we reach a feature like the Team Planner view, we'll call that out as that's pro only. And then because our book is a self-paced tutorial, we'll provide some workarounds or suggested other strategies for the project standard users who are completing the tutorial. So I think everyone here, because you've been running Project 2010 or 2013, you're familiar with the Fluent UI, or the ribbon as we call it. This is a pretty dramatic reimagination of the user interface from the pull-down menu model. Project 2010 introduced the ribbon interface. The other Office applications adopted the ribbon interface in 2007. So this is really the second generation of the ribbon interface in Project, and they've benefited from some of the refinements in this model that the other Office applications have made. I mentioned the Backstage. That's now labeled the file command, but this is referred to as the Backstage View. And just some reorganization here, some simplification. I mentioned the SkyDrive integration, so pretty much any point where you're dealing with file level management with MPP files, I can quickly get over to SkyDrive. The other things that we're familiar with, the print preview and so on, not so different. And then of course access to the all-important project options dialog box is there in the Backstage view. And George had asked about the entry bar there, and it's off by default in 2010 and 2013, but you can turn it back on right there, the entry bar. So I like the entry bar. I'm accustomed to it, being an old-time Excel user, so I always turn that back on when I install Project. I also mentioned the touch input. I'll give you a look at that. So this is new in 2013 for all of the Office applications, and it works the same way in all of them. So up here on the Quick Access Toolbar is this button, and you can see I can optimize for mouse input or touch input. Now these are not really mutually exclusive at all. I can use touch input when I'm in mouse mode and vice versa. But keep an eye on the task tab here when I switch over to touch input, and you can see everything basically got a lot of extra space around it, and it basically just gives me a bigger target for hitting the commands I want. So I can do all of this. I'm just using a finger on the touch screen here, and it works fine. The other thing you'll notice are these selection handles, I think they're called, here. So making in this case, a multi-row selection or a range selection is just a drag operation here. And then, of course, zooming in the chart portion of a Gantt chart view is a pinch operation, just like you would expect. So touch input works fine if you have a touch-enabled device. I have found the quality of the touch input hardware will affect the quality of your experience. So I have a very high-end touch input device right here. It's great. You may get different results if you have different types of hardware. I'll go back to the mouse input mode here just so we have a little more room to focus on things. Now while I'm here in the Gantt chart view, I'm going to show you a feature that I feel just a little bit of sort of I don't know, parental pride in. I didn't invent the feature at all, but it relates to something that we used to cover in the earlier editions of the book. So you notice, as I select different tasks here, you notice those horizontal lines being drawn across the Gantt chart. So this makes it much easier for me to locate in this case, the name of the selected task and its Gantt chart or other object in the chart portion of the view. And this, especially with a large screen, this could be a challenging thing to do. Now, what we used to cover actually in the 2010 edition and prior, we dropped it, and I think we kept it in the 2013 edition of our book, was some instructions on turning on grid lines. And I'm going to actually go over to the Format tab, grid lines command, and I'm going to turn on, I'll just use a dashed line here for Gantt rows. And then what this does is it drops in these, in this case, these dashed lines. So again, makes it very easy for me to visually align a task name and its Gantt chart. And it's not a problem with this selected task behavior as well. It still pops out visually for me just fine.
The selected task lines are only 2013?
Yes, that was a new feature in 2013. So just one of those small UI fit and finish features that I like a lot. The other main differences just in terms of fit and finish that I notice are generally a flatter look. It's more of a two-dimensional look. That gradation is gone from the ribbon. And again, all of the Office applications sort of adopted this look. It's not as high contrast as I might like, but you can actually adjust that Office-wide if you like as well. I'm going to show you one of the other new features called Task Path. So I'm going to go pick a task down here. And we're always interested in predecessor and successor relationships. And I could drop in some fields that would show me the predecessor and successor tasks. But this is a nice feature. It's pretty dynamic. It just, once I turn it on, what it does is it applies color formatting to the link lines and the Gantt bars, in this case, of the selected tasks, predecessor tasks. So as I mouse around, select different tasks, it's just on for the selected task. And I may want to be even more specific and show driving predecessors. So these would be the predecessor tasks that directly schedule their successors. In other words, as we like to say, they have no slack or float in their task relationships. And I may want to make that distinction. And I can do the same thing for successor relationships as well. So that's just one of those modeless features. I can turn it on and forget about it. And then, especially if I'm looking at a very complex Gantt chart, I can more easily use visual coding to spot predecessor and successor relationships. All right, now I'm going to move on to reports. So it sounded like not many people here had seen the 2013 reports, so this will be sort of the big payoff, I guess, for, in addition to the sandwiches, for coming tonight. And I'm going to start by going to the Report tab, and there are several built-in reports, and as you might expect, you can substantially customize those or build your own reports. Now, for those of us who used reports in 2010 or prior, you may recall them as being tabular, kind of old-fashioned. They look like old database, reports, and mostly designed for printing. You could view them on screen. It was a challenge to grab the data on screen and say share it with an email message or in a Word document. That was possible but challenging. And this is what reports in 2013 look like. So I'm just going to show you a few. So if you haven't seen reports in 2013 before, you've never seen anything like this in Project. This is live project data. This is, this will of course be constantly refreshed as my MPP data changes. As with the old reports, I don't directly edit the underlying data here. I can't change assignments. I can't record progress on tasks and so on. What I can do is pretty substantially affect how that data is presented, formatted, and I have some great capabilities for sharing this data with other applications. So I mentioned there are a large number of reports. There are some, for example, if you're running Agile, here are some burn down reports. Again, you may want to customize these to fit the specific things that you're tracking. There's an earned value for you EVA folks. And then a whole bunch that are focused on, basic project status, resource status, cost information, and so on. And then there's a kind of a clever thing that the project team has done here. So the report system in 2013 is just a canvas, and I can manipulate that canvas to a great degree. And the documentation team on Project, my old stomping grounds, actually took advantage of that, and they actually created a set of learning aids using the reports capability. So these are essentially custom reports. They're not limited to the functionality of reports, though. So they actually give you some introductory material about project using the reports capabilities, which I thought was pretty clever. And that's just right here on the, it's in the Getting Started command in the Reports tab.